As you can tell from all of this, I have quite the ride set up for you guys. I'm debating how I want to do this. Um, I think what I'll do first is I'm gonna rank the DC and the Marvel stuff separately in so two videos there, and then um, I'll rank them all together with Marvel and DC. And this has classic DC stuff like the Christopher Reeve era Superman, which honestly, that's Superman God tier. Because I've actually been rewatching these recently. I decided to combine the Marvel and DC timelines, viewing them. So by the time I got to 2002, a Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, I was like, you know what? I want to incorporate DC. So now I'm in, let's see, I just finished Superman 3, which is set in 83, and realized I needed to go back and watch Swamp Thing because it's set in 82. So I went from 2002 to now I'm back up to 82. And then I think Supergirl is 80, what is it, 85? 86? Something like that. The movie, that is. So I'll be incorporating that. I will be giving brief thoughts on Fantastic Four: The First Steps, Superman, Thunderbolts, and Captain America: Brave New World, but I don't have those. So I'll be giving my thoughts on them. And even though I don't have those particular projects yet, so I think I'll go ahead and get that kind of out, and then I'll go in and start my DC ranking here. So yeah, Superman. I thought was quite good. It's not quite Christopher Reeve good, but that's pretty hard to beat because it's so iconic. And honestly, Christopher Reeve Superman, I think, was the first Superman I saw. Honestly, I watched Superman 3 before I watched any of the others. I was like, where's the origin story stuff? Oh, wait, this is the third movie. That's why there's no origin story stuff. So I went back and watched the other ones. I also owned the third one first, so I was like, hey, it doesn't have Lex Luthor, so I don't think it really impacts where I watch it all that much. But Superman 2025 is very good. Definitely check it out if you have a chance. Same with Fantastic Four: The First Steps. I've seen that one twice now, and it's pretty good. Finally brought the Fantastic Four as the team itself into the MCU. A couple of the Fantastic Four members have showed up and been subsequently killed in the MCU. Case in point, Mr. Fantastic became Spaghetti in Multiverse Madness, and Johnny Storm had his skin removed by Cassandra Nova in Deadpool and Wolverine. So, Thunderbolts. I thought that the post-credit scene for Fantastic Four would line up with Thunderbolts, and it didn't. But that's okay. But both are really good movies. I would highly recommend both. Captain America: Brave New World. It feels like it returned to form with the likes of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and a lot of people really, really like Winter Soldier, so it gave off just enough Winter Soldier vibes that was like, yes, let's do this. Red Hulk was awesome to see in that. The leader looked weird. They should have gone with their original plan with how they were going to make him look like with a Frankenstein flat top, but they wanted to make him more grotesque and creepy looking, and that's fine. So yeah, with those thoughts out of the way, I'm going to be talking about two shows in the DC realm. One of them only briefly because I haven't seen the entirety of the season, that being Peacemaker. My preliminary thoughts on that, we'll get to that later on in the video. I do like this series. I really need to finish it. But it's set in like 2021, so it's going to be a while before I get there and just watch through. But let's go ahead and let's show what titles are going to be included here, and then we'll dive into the ranking portion. We're going to have all 3 seasons and the 66 Batman movie included here. Here's the movie that takes place after season 1. Then we have season 2 split up into 2 parts for some reason, and season 3. And then we're going to be considering Return of the Caped Crusaders, an animated Batman movie. It's set in the 60s universe. So is Batman vs. Two-Face. I haven't seen that one yet, so I'm not going to consider it here. And then with Superman 1, we're going to be getting a triple dose of that because there are 3 distinct versions of the movie. There's the theatrical, the special edition, which only adds about 8 minutes. And then there's the extended cut that adds 47 minutes onto the original theatrical release. So we'll be talking about those. Talk about all 4 of these Superman movies. Technically 5, because we'll be considering Superman 2 and the Richard Donner cut as separate entries, because they are just different enough to warrant doing that. Let's see. Then we'll be talking about Joker, which is set in 1981. Joker 2, set in 85, which actually needs to be after Wonder Woman. Or not Wonder Woman, Supergirl. We'll be talking about Swamp Thing, again, set in 82, so I gotta backtrack a little bit. But at least I only got 1 year ahead of where I was. Then we have Supergirl. One of these is, I think, yeah, director's cut. I think this one's finally the theatrical cut. And then my Blu-ray here had an international cut, whatever that means. I don't really see any differences between any of these versions. So we'll just consider Supergirl once and not 3 times. But then we have Folie à Deux. This movie had too many songs. It's like every 10 to 15 minutes, oh, we're singing again. Okay, cool, bye. And then we have Batman 89. I kept this case because it has a runtime. This digibook doesn't have that. We'll be talking about Return of the Swamp Thing, which is set in 89, I believe. So that's why it's right after Batman 89. We'll be talking about Batman Returns, Forever, Batman and Robin. I'm not sure which case I'll show for that because I like the look of both. So I might hold them both side by side or something when I do that. And then we'll be talking about Spawn, as well as the 3 animated Spawns. So there is some animation that we'll be talking about here, but not a whole lot. And that bed is not a very sound surface to have this on. We'll be talking about Catwoman, Hellboy, the original, the entire Dark Knight trilogy. I kept this because the lenticular cover is cool. If something has a lenticular slipcover or something like to that effect, anything lenticular, I'm keeping it, even if I have it on another format. Then we have Constantine, which I heard a sequel was recently greenlit for that, so that's cool. Hopefully Keanu returns and they don't recast him. Then we have Superman Returns, which is in the same continuity as the Christopher Reeve ones, I think. At least to my knowledge, that's the case. Then we have V for Vendetta, Zoom, Academy for Superheroes. Zoom is another name for Reverse Flash. That's not the case here, but yeah. We'll be talking about Epic Movie because Superman is in it. Hellboy 2. Disaster Movie, it has Batman in it somewhere. Whenever I show Disaster Movie, I always pair it with Yes It Is, because it is absolutely a disaster of a movie. So they got that one on the nose. Then we have Watchmen and the Ultimate Cut. This is the one I'm going to be watching for my watch through that I'm doing. I've seen a couple episodes of this, so I'll give my thoughts on what I have seen from it. I thought this was supposed to be like Dr. Manhattan's girlfriend or something, but it's just like a regular cop so far. Yeah. Then we have The Losers, Jonah Hex, Kick-Ass. I had a lot of fun with the Kick-Ass movies. The reason I have them under DC is because Nicolas Cage's character in the first one looks a lot like Batman. Then we have Green Lantern and its extended cut. This is the version I'm going to be watching for the watch through that I'm doing, because I've seen the theatrical one enough times. Then we have Red 1 and 2, Kick-Ass 2. Again, the main character, or one of the main characters in the first one looks like Batman, so here it is in the DC universe. Like I said, Dark Knight trilogy. This is also lenticular. Dark Knight trilogy again, and one more time. Then we got the Wonder Woman duology. I already watched this one again. I need to watch Batman 84, Wonder Woman 84 after Swamp Thing, I think, and before Supergirl. Then we got Man of Steel, Birdman, Michael Keaton. That's my rationale there, Michael Keaton. Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. We're going to be considering both versions. Same with Suicide Squad. and Justice League, although I'm only going to be watching the Snyder Cut this time around. Speaking of the Snyder Cut, I got my bases covered there. Then Aquaman, Brightburn, very dark Superman story. Avengers of Justice. This one's just a cheesy fun time. And it says it right in the title, Farce Wars. So it's a farce. And it has a Hulk-sized Yoda. Like, come on. That's funny. That's good. And then we have Hellboy 2019. I haven't seen the new Hellboy yet, but I do fully intend to watch that. Then we have Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie. Shazam, again, lenticular, gotta keep it. Suicide Squad. This is another one that I've seen partial content for. Season 2 apparently just started, or will be starting soon. Gotta give this a full watch through, but I gotta wait until the 2021 in the timeline to do that. So, but that could help fill in the Endgame gap. Then we have Black Adam, The Batman, Shazam 2, Flash, and then we have Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2. Yeah, those are what we're going to be talking about for my DC ranking. Now we can get into the ranking itself. Things that I haven't seen all the way through are going to be lower on the ranking until I've seen them the whole way through. I probably shouldn't even include them because they're at a disadvantage like that. But I've got an idea of what they are. So I feel like that justifies talking about them because I know enough about them to do so. But yeah, so like the Watchmen series is going to be lower. Peacemaker is going to be lower. They won't be at the bottom. And hopefully my pick for being at the bottom doesn't offend anyone. Because you could probably already guess what it was because I said it had too many songs in it. So my pick for the bottom of this ranking is Joker Folie à Deux. Where is it? You know, I didn't hate the movie. It's in last place here. I don't know how many titles I'm talking about for DC. So I'm not going to do like a running like, oh, this is whatever. When we get to the top 10, I'll give them place numbers. But the rest are just kind of, this one's my least favorite. Also, not a big Lady Gaga fan. And for some reason, she's Harley Quinn. Or just Lee Quinzel. So not a fan of her. So that also was holding this back quite a bit. Still want to get the 4K and the DVD, of course, but anyway. So that's in last here. think I might do Batman, the Adam West show and movie as one entry. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put them in next to last, just because they're so wacky and zany. They don't really fit with the rest of DC, much like this doesn't. Yeah. I do have fun with the Adam West Batman, but it's a little too silly for Batman to be. So, something I liked a little bit more than Batman this series was Return of the Caped Crusaders here. I want to try and get the price tag off of it, or reverse this so the price sticker's on the back. I think this is probably one of the last things that Adam West was able to be in before he passed. I think he was in this and Batman vs. Two-Face, then Lego Batman 3, then Dead. So there you go. That sounded kind of morbid. I'm sorry, but where did it go? Ah, yes, a couple of oddballs in the franchise here. Not really the franchise, but kind of sharing the space as epic movie and disaster movie. Yes, it is. They're not terrible movies. I mean, this one is, but I mean, this one's not terrible. This one's pretty fun. Just, not for me. Not my type of thing. And the only reason this next one's gonna be so low is because I haven't seen the whole thing. That is Watchmen, the series. And it looks like it's set in an alternate history to the movie. Which is weird because it seemed like it was a sequel to it. Anyway, so yeah. Another placement that suffers from not having seen the whole thing is Peacemaker. You guys are probably going to hate me for having it this low in my ranking. It's purely because I haven't seen the whole thing. I'm sure once I see the rest of it, I'll be like, let's move this up a few notches, because it is quite good. I really do enjoy Peacemaker. I'm excited to check out season 2 whenever the Blu-rays are available. What else? I'm just try and set these over here and hope they don't fall over. Maybe having them in 2 stacks will help. Next up is going to be The Flash. I think the biggest thing going against this movie, besides the weird orange tint that the Speed Force effects have, is that Ezra Miller should never have been the Flash. They should have just used Grant Gustin, because Grant Gustin is phenomenal in the role. If the new DCU uses the Flash, I hope it's Grant Gustin, because he's just amazing as the Flash. So far above Ezra Miller. and Ezra Miller's a nightmare to work with. So if I ever use the Flash in my movies, like movies I make, it will not be Ezra Miller. It may not even be Grant Gustin because he might be too old by the time I start making my own movies. He could play a more aged up Flash, I guess, but I wouldn't want to try and like hinder his role by having him reprise it, and anyway. Up next is going to be Supergirl. I really enjoy the Supergirl movie. It's just I like a lot of the DC stuff more than I like Supergirl. It's not the most rewatchable. I wish that she had appeared in Superman 4, or if they had continued and made Superman 5, that she would have been in that one. Because it just seems disconnected from the Christopher Reeve continuity, even though it's supposed to be, even though it is canon to it. That's a little bit frustrating. Swamp Thing, this series should be here somewhere, isn't it? Maybe not. No, I don't think I brought it up. I've only seen the pilot episode of Swamp Thing, so it would probably follow this up wherever we are in this ranking here. The Swamp Thing movies, however, are really good. I like both of those quite a bit. Up next, I'm going to put The Losers. It has Chris Evans in it, and Idris Elba, and Zoe Saldana. Who else do I recognize on the back of the case here? Just those guys. Okay. I recognize this guy's face, but I don't know his name. So it has him in it as well. Looks like it's set in 2010, perhaps. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. So I'll be watching that in 2010. Or like when I get to 2010 in the timeline, that's what I mean. So like after Hulk, like after the Edward Norton Hulk. Up next is going to be all three of the animated Spawn movies. They're all really good. I like all the Spawn movies. So it's featuring all 3 seasons of Spawn. I don't think that's technically accurate. But sure, you can call it that, I guess. So I don't have anything against the Spawn collection here. Going above it is the live action version because it gives me Venom vibes because the suit kind of like goes up like Venom. I don't know what that sound I just made with my mouth was, but yeah. I also don't really know when they take place. I think they're like products of the 90s. 99 for the trilogy of animated ones, but so anyway. Hey, that's when I came out too. 99. Let's see. Up next is going to be the theatrical version of Come on. Get out. If I can even get it out of here. Superman. The movie. Followed by the special edition. And we'll come back to the 3-hour cut here in a minute. Then up next we have Superman 2. Just gonna kind of bunch these together because I like them all about the same. Then we have the Richard Donner cut, which opened the door for the Snyder cut. Superman 3 and 4. Again, I wish there was a 5th one where they crossed over with Supergirl, but I guess it wasn't to be. Just a solid bunch of movies right here. Very good. And the 3-hour cut of Superman the movie will go after talking about all the rest of them. It feels like the most complete version of Superman the movie. Yeah. So there you go. Up next is going to be The Return of Swamp Thing. I like the original more. That's what it boils down to. Science made him a monster. So and we have Batman Returns up next in I think 91 or 92, something like that. Let me know in the comment section when this movie takes place if you know when that is. Okay. And next up, I like Batman and Robin more than I like Batman Returns or Batman Forever, which is actually Batman Forever comes after Batman and Robin for me. That's probably not an unpopular opinion, but the best of the 4 is obviously this one with Jack Nicholson's Joker and Michael Keaton as the title character. It's like wham bam. Yes, that works. Okay. We already talked about Spawn. Trying to make room for all these and hope they don't tip over. And actually, I like Catwoman less than I like the Batman anthology there. So this one would go below all the different Batman 90s and 80s and 90s movies. Hellboy. It's pretty good. The 2019 version is, I think, a little bit better. Again, I haven't seen the most recent version. We'll talk about this in the Constantine. I'm excited that it's getting a sequel. That gun looks cool. Yeah. This is supposed to be set in the Christopher Reeve era. It came out after Christopher Reeve passed away. So, Brandon Routh, my bad, picked up the pieces of the series. The title doesn't really make sense because at the end of Quest for Peace, Superman never left. So it's like, Superman returns. Where'd he go? Sharing placement is V for Vendetta and Zoom Academy for Superheroes. I honestly don't think this one deserves the R rating. Kind of like the Matrix movies don't. But, you know, I like these a fair bit. We already talked about this guy. Hellboy 2. I enjoyed Hellboy 2 more than the Hellboy 1. It expanded the mythology that they were building. It has more weird looking creatures in it. Probably should have been rated R, like the original. It should have been rated R too. Both were PG-13. It's kind of like holds it back, doesn't let it be as cool as it needs to be. Watchmen, the director's cut. This one I have seen. This one I have started. But this one's 2 hours or 215 minutes. That's, I think, over 3 hours. Yes. Like, I think it's bordering on 3.5. So, yeah. It maintained its ranking throughout the different versions, or its rating throughout the versions. It stayed R all the way. So, cool. And we already talked about this. Then we already talked about losers, so putting that away. Jonah Hex. This might have been my introduction to Josh Brolin, John Malkovich, and Megan Fox before I saw her in Transformers 3 times. Or was she in 3 of them? I don't know. Anyway, my introduction to those 3 actors. John Malkovich does a better job in the Red movies, Red 1 and 2. So this isn't top tier John Malkovich. Not even in any stretch of the imagination there. And a bunch of stuff just fell over. Great. Awesome. Love that. Up next, Kick-Ass. Has Aaron Taylor Johnson and Chloe Grace Moretz in it. As well as Nicolas Cage. Those are 3 people that I enjoy seeing in things. Green Lantern, prototype Deadpool performance from Ryan Reynolds. Red 1 and 2 are both ranked in the same position because they're kind of more the same for themselves. I would like to see a third. But that's okay. Red 3 will just be living on nostalgia by now. Then we have Kick-Ass 2. Sounds like they're going to be making a rebooted trilogy of Kick-Ass movies. I'm all for it. Now is the time we're going to talk about the Dark Knight trilogy, or at least part of it. And the part we're going to be talking about here is Dark Knight Rises. Christopher Nolan had wanted the Joker to be the main villain of the all three movies. They wanted to tease him in the first one, have him in the second, and then kill him in the third. Heath Ledger died before they could do that, so they switched tracks to Bane and Talia al Ghul. And they threw Catwoman in there as well. So, not a terrible movie, but not a great one also. Then we have Wonder Woman 84. Not as good as the original, the first one here, but it had Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord, so that was kind of cool. What else can one say about these? They're really good, I guess. So there's a couple of Wonder Woman movies. We'll circle back around to the first one later. Just gonna set those there. Then we have Birdman. It's in the DC universe because Michael Keaton. It doesn't have any ties to the DC continuity of anything. I thought it was an interesting idea that should have had more Birdman in it and less of his alter ego, which is just regular Michael Keaton. And I'm not sure where we're at number-wise here, but there's more than 10 titles left, so we're not in the top 10 yet. Up next is the theatrical cut of Suicide Squad. I know this is the case for the extended cut. This one has the extended and the theatrical. Anyway, I like the extended cut a little bit better. I would love to see the director's cut for this. David Ayer cut. One I like just a little bit more than Suicide Squad is the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman. But first we gotta talk about the regular version. The regular version, it's okay. The Ultimate Edition is really good. They nailed it with the Ultimate Edition there. Then we have Man of Steel. Which is really good as well. And then here's where I would put Wonder Woman. I think previously it might have been in my top 10. I haven't soured on it at all. I've just, I don't know. I don't know what my thinking for that is. And the Justice League theatrical cut, it's not good. If you're going to watch Justice League, do this one. If you're going to watch Justice League, watch that one. Up next, we have Batman Begins. Actually, I think the Snyder Cut might be in my top 10. Maybe in my top 3. We'll see. Batman Begins. It laid the groundwork for Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. Kind of told a Batman Year One type story. And Christopher Nolan had an idea that he was executing. They teased Joker at the end of it. Then he shows up in this, as you can tell. Heath Ledger died before they could follow up on his Joker. I think he OD'd on something or other. Excuse me. But, yeah, let's see what else. Before we get too much higher in my ranking. Avengers of Justice, Farce Wars, cheesy fun. I want to say the main character, this guy, his character's name is, I think, Superbat. Sounds like Superman and Batman. So, good grief. Then we have Aquaman 2. Gotta get a Blu-ray for this. This one's rated 12. So then we have Black Adam, followed by Shazam 2. We'll get to the first Shazam eventually. Excuse me. But we're not there yet. Because I like the first Shazam quite a bit. I think it's another one that's going to end up being in the top 10. Up next, though, we do have Hellboy and the original Aquaman, which is set after the events of Justice League. Then we have Brightburn, which is phenomenal. Very dark Superman story. If you like dark Superman stories, you'll like that. If you don't mind R-rated horror movies, you'll also like Brightburn. Birds of Prey. I'm not sure why so many people are down on this movie. It has more Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn. She should be Harley Quinn, not Lady Gaga. Black Mask is played by Ewan McGregor. I like him from Star Wars. He also does remarkably well in Doctor Sleep, The Shining 2, or The Shining 2. But let's see here. Up next, we have Blue Beetle. One of my favorite lines in this movie is when, out of nowhere, George Lopez just says, "Batman's a fascist." It's like out of nowhere. He's like, there we go. Batman's a fascist, apparently. Speaking of Batman, we have the Batman here. So yeah, that's cool. The Suicide Squad is next. I think we're approaching the top. Oh, we're already in the top 10. So I think that was in 5th place. In 4th place, oh, this is gonna be tricky. This actually might be 2nd place. Our runner-up, we'll say, is The Dark Knight. And the cream of the crop for DC, the Snyder Cut. It was so good that I bought it 3 times on purpose. And I also bought the original cut of Justice League 4 times. I bought that one 4 times. Once at a yard sale for like a quarter. That was worth. But yeah. Okay. So that is my DC ranking. And I think in this same video, I'll go ahead and talk about the Marvel stuff. I think I'll introduce the Marvel movies in this one, and then rank them in the next video here. So don't touch that dial. Old TV reference. I can make old TV references. I've seen enough old shows. I mean, heck, I've even seen the 1920s Phantom of the Opera. If that's not old, tell me what is. So, the Marvel properties that we're going to be considering are The First Avenger, Agent Carter Seasons 1 and 2, the X-Men Beginnings trilogy with First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse. Days of Future Past will be considered with the 4K entry, as well as the Rogue Cut separate. Right there. I can't quite talk about these ones. I can just regurgitate what other people have said about them, in that they're not good. But I don't know that for myself yet. Again, we have Apocalypse that we'll consider with the 4K. X-Men Origins, set in the 80s or 70s or 80s, something like that. Howard the Duck, 86. Both versions of Adventures in Babysitting. Dark Phoenix. X-Men, the animated series. We'll do it as the series as a whole, including X-Men 97, which I also don't have. Captain Marvel. I'm always nicer with this movie than a lot of people, because going to see this for the first time introduced me to my biological father. I met him going to see this movie. That's what we did to introduce ourselves to each other. We'll be talking about the Blade trilogy as well as House of Cthulhu, X-Men, Madam Web, Hulk, X2, Spider-Man 2. We'll be talking about all 3 Spider-Man movies. I just have an individual case for the second one because this is the extended cut. Punisher and its extended cut. Daredevil and Elektra. We'll be talking about the theatrical versions, as well as the director cut for Daredevil. Fantastic Four. X-Men 3. Again, X-Men 3. Accidental double dip there. Ghost Rider. the Fantastic Four 2-movie collection with Fantastic Four and Rise of the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer was done rather well in that movie. Galactus was a joke. Not a good joke, just a joke. And then we'll be considering the Darkman trilogy. Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, which had some plot points that were followed up on finally. Blade, the series, as well as Punisher Warzone. We'll be talking about a lot more shows with the Marvel side of things. And ones that I've actually seen all the way through. At least once. Getting the next stack of things set up here. We'll be talking about Ghost Rider 2, The Avengers, Iron Man trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. Which I need to get cinematic universe versions of. Same with the Thor trilogy. We'll be talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. seasons 1 and 2, The Wolverine, Winter Soldier, Guardians 2, the Tobey Maguire trilogy, Andrew Garfield duology. That's a thing, right? Duology? Sure it is. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually a term or not. S.H.I.E.L.D. season 2, like I said. Fan 4 Stick, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man. If cases look cool and different, I keep both. Big Hero 6, Civil War, Deadpool, Black Widow. Had to keep the red case. Come on now. Red cases are cool and not very common. Gifted, Legion. I have not seen all of Gifted. I've actually only seen the first episode, honestly. Whoops. Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Doctor Strange. This one. Cool steelbook. Rendell, Dark Vengeance. Haven't seen it all the way through. Valentine, the Dark Avenger. I put these together in the Marvel Universe because she's an Avenger. Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, as well as Thor 1 and 2. Black Panther and Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Ant-Man 2. All these will be talked about in the next video. I'm just showing them here to save a little bit of time in the next one for the actual thoughts. Marvel's kind of a mixed bag. You got some really good stuff like the Tobey Maguire's movies and the Iron Man stuff, or the original Iron Man movie. And you have some not so good stuff as well. We'll be talking about Infinity War. Had to get a steelbook. I got the steelbook first, actually. We'll be talking about Venom, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, steelbook. Yeah, all 3 cases look cool, so I kept them all. Endgame, Loki. I really enjoyed Loki, and we'll be talking about both seasons. I just have the first season so far, but I do intend to get the second one because I enjoyed it. WandaVision, my favorite of the MCU shows. followed by Loki. Shang-Chi, where's the sequel? Give us a sequel. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If they did a second season, it would have to be Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think, because Sam Wilson's now Captain America. Far From Home. Let There Be Carnage. They shouldn't have killed off Carnage. They should have just sent him to another universe, because he also knows who Peter Parker is, I think. So they could have just sent him to the MCU. No Way Home. Eternals. Morbius. Home stretch here. Venom 3. Awesome Steelbook. Marvel is really on par with their Steelbooks. Like, they're mind-blowing. Multiverse of Madness. Should have had more multiverse stuff in it. More universes. Moon Knight. Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever was dealt a bad hand with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Thor, Love and Thunder. Quantumania. Guardians 3. The Marvels. Another stellar Steelbook. Kraven. Another stellar Steelbook. New Mutants. Logan. Deadpool 2. Super Duper Cut. PG-13 Cut. Deadpool and Wolverine. Awesome stuff. So we'll talk about all this stuff in the next video. No Way Home and Across the Spider-Verse are going to be ranked very favorably. They always are. But that is a video for probably another day. Excuse me. So I'm probably not going to do that video tonight. I decided to skip the Adam West Batman stuff when I went back and rewatched some DC properties. Because they don't impact anything except themselves. And I guess technically the Crisis on Infinite Earths and the Arrowverse, it's impacted by Batman 66 in a way, because Burt Ward's in there. But I didn't feel like it was necessary to watch that, because I'm not watching any of the other Arrowverse stuff for this watch through, or I would be watching to the end of the year. So, trying to stick to mostly watching the Marvel and DC movies. Am I going to be watching the shows like Moon Knight, stuff like that again? Yeah, I am. So I'll be checking those out again when I get to them. But for the most part, I'm sticking to movies for this watch through. Again, I'll be incorporating Swamp Thing, Watchmen, the series, maybe the series finale of Smallville, and what else? Oh, Peacemaker. I'll be incorporating those. I believe the Watchmen show is set in 2019, or at least modern time. But I'll double check and make sure, because the movie is, I don't even know when the movie takes place, honestly. But yeah, I'm gonna put my DC properties in a multiversal timeline, like I've done with the Marvel stuff. So I got some rearranging to do before I can to do that. Because Wonder Woman and its sequel are both in the same case, I'll probably place them in the 80s instead of World War One. But anyway, I love the Wonder Woman movies. They're both really good, I think. And the Aquaman movies are both really good as well. So I want to see a standalone Ben Affleck led Batman movie where it's just like him maybe fighting his version of the Riddler or a new Two-Face or something, or introducing someone new like Clayface would be awesome. I've heard the DC Universe does have plans to incorporate Clayface at some point in time, and I'm all for it, honestly, because that sounds like it's a good idea. But there you go. So yeah, probably tomorrow, because we're over an hour here. Probably tomorrow I'll go and rank the Marvel side of things. So this one's just DC introducing the Marvel properties, but just ranking the DC stuff and giving my thoughts there. Okay, but there you go. An hour and like 7 minutes later, here we are at the end of this ranking video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's a little on the long side. I should have cut it off before showing the Marvel stuff, but there you go.